Okay, class, today we're going to take a virtual tour of some of the important places for the Mormon pioneer community, and we are going to start in Nauvoo, Illinois. Now this picture is a picture of the Nauvoo Temple, and a temple is an important building in Mormon church culture, and this is a picture of it in the 1840s when the Mormons were persecuted. They were persecuted, and then they were pushed out of Nauvoo, the city that they had built, and the temple ended up being burned down by mobs. So this is the picture from back then, and now I've got a picture right here for you of what it looks like now. It was rebuilt, and this is what it looks like now. It looks very similar to the original that was built back in the 1800s. Now we are going to go to Salt Lake, but before we do that, I want to zoom out so I can show you how far these Mormons traveled. Zoom out a little bit. Alright, let's see. We got it maybe a little bit more. Okay. So we've got Nauvoo over here, and then we've got Salt Lake over here where they ended up. So I'm going to use this ruler tool to show you how many miles they traveled. So if we go from here to here, Nauvoo to Salt Lake, they traveled 1,076 roughly miles. Now that's going in a straight line, and these Mormon pioneers did not go in a straight line. They had to use, they went over mountains and across rivers. It wasn't a straight shot. They went not in a straight line. And so it means that they had more miles on there, and it ended up being about 1,300 miles. Now I want you to think about that. That is a really long journey. How would you feel making that trek across the entire country? I think it would be, it was incredibly hard. We have accounts of those Mormon pioneers, and many lost family members along the way, and they were cold. Many of them traveled in winter, in very harsh winters when there was lots of snow, and it was just a very trying time, but these Mormon pioneers showed great faith in their beliefs as they went across the country so that they could practice what they believed. So now we are going to go to Ensign Peak, which is in Salt Lake City, and this is where Brigham Young, who was the leader of the Mormon pioneers as they traveled west, he came to this spot and said, "This is the place. This is the place where we are going to settle," and he was on top of this peak. Now, I have a picture for you of the monument that right here that was put up to commemorate this spot. Now there was one that was built early on, but it got destroyed, and so this is a newer monument that was put up, I think in the 1990s, to commemorate the saints and where they came to here in Salt Lake. So there's that, and I also want to show you what the Salt Lake Valley looks like today from this spot. So let me bring that up. So this is how it looks. Now obviously this is not how it looked like when Brigham Young came, as they were the first settlers here. But I want you to look at this huge valley and how this is a really interesting place to settle. We've got our mountains on one side and a lake on the other. It's a very flat place, and this is where Brigham Young brought the saints, and this is where they settled here in Salt Lake. Now, we kind of talked about the temple in Nauvoo, their building, and where they did a lot of their worshiping, the Mormons. So now we're going to go to the Salt Lake City temple, and this is a temple they built when they got here. Now this is a picture of what that temple looked like in 1880 as it was being built, and it took many, many years to build this temple. So we've got that right here to kind of show how far they were, and this is what it looks like today, completed. And this is, a very important building for the Mormon Church, and wanted to show you that. And that's, one of the first things they did when they got here was they built this temple. And now I want to take you to, this is the Place Heritage Park. Now this park, before we go there, is a place that commemorates the Mormons and Brigham Young, and kind of shows the different aspects of their culture, and it shows different landmarks from back in the 1800s when they settled there, and where different people lived. We've got a house that was Brigham Young's house and other things. So I want to take you over there, and this is the monument that commemorates that. And we've got Brigham Young up here and some of the other leaders of the church that came all the way from Nauvoo here, and it commemorates their journey and how they settled here. Now we've got more things that, let me show you what it looks like from Google Earth. So this is what it looks like in the park, is all around here. And I've got some sites for you that I want you to go and check out. And this is where culture really comes out. We've got a site that talks about, well, this first site kind of gives you another virtual tour of the different places in this heritage park, and I want you to go and look at those sites. Maybe choose 5 and learn a little bit more about the culture of the Mormons. And then this site gives you some music from that time period, and there's one track 4, I want you to listen to, that kind of gives you a feel of how the pioneers felt as they were crossing the plains. And let's see, there's another one that talks about pioneer folklore. There's a story that I want you to read that comes from this time period as well. And let's see, one more. So this site gives you kind of a feel for the pioneers. It kind of talks about their clothing, and it shows pictures of what they would have worn and the things that they brought, things that were important to them. And all of these things make up this culture of the Mormon pioneers. So I want you to go through and look at those and see what you can find that will help you understand this culture a little bit better. All right, thanks class.